We're both kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, because Tiff, anything can happen going into Game 3, and I think it is ready for us, so let's hop into it. Tiff, it is great to be back with you, and as we hop in here with OP Marked, as kind of per the usual with Marked, they like to play things nice and slow. We saw that on their score lines as well, but oftentimes can grab wins, and they're going to make sure they protect all of their flanks from all of those redeploy drones, and then loot up and make sure they can get their loadouts.
Hey, look, you're calling it, not me. They're going the most wanted aspect to get their cash up and loot throughout. It's similar to what we had witnessed from Breadman, but throughout the tournaments that we saw this weekend, kind of gearing up to see what this flow would look like, testing out some things. A lot of people have elected, hey, we want to take that scavenger contract, which we've seen the majority of our squads do here today, but getting that cash up quick is the way. And getting those Ram 7s in your hand. And there you go. Cash come through.
Yeah, you know, I was taking a look at the leaderboard and kind of looking through a list of these teams. There's so much we could talk about, and I'm excited to kind of break it down between games. But one thing I wanted to note during the game is that because of the nature of the way that map fell out, right? We had the first map, which absolutely blew out our expectations from a point standpoint, especially for the top teams. They really separated themselves from the rest of the leaderboard very quickly. Because of the way that map ended with OP Mark's team winning, but only getting 16 points, second place Exact only scoring about like 12 points, the leaderboard has really started to stabilize and is a little bit more of a linear graph if you were to look down those numbers. So for the folks at home that are asking what I'm talking about, you can type in !leaderboard in the chat. Be patient with that command. It will pull up the link to Arena's leaderboard. You can scroll down to see that. You can see kind of how that linear line of numbers as we get closer and closer to the average we expected between games. But Savvy Ultra's hanging on to the lead. Team Noobs right behind in second here, Tiff. 43.5 points and already in an early encounter.
We got PA'd.
And immediately the streaks come in. Precision airstrike straight to the roof over here at Manor. Almond falling incredibly low, and you can hear the comms come through. He's like, they know, they're pushing me, and that's going to be straight up going up against Aydan. So now in a 2v1, Almond in the gulag. We have to play this patient, because at this point where Noobs is positioned on the roof and Soka up here as well, they weren't going to be able to get to Almond in time to be able to look for a trade. By the time they get there, Aydan likely already played it up, hit the reset, but a good nade to give him some opening damage, and the head peek comes through. They push straight up to Noobs and do a little peekaboo, but he's still able to survive here. Soka grabs the knock onto Krinks, and here we go, jumps down to hit the full. What a well play. The numbers advantage tied up here on the roof.
That scared the crap out of me. I'm not going to lie. I mean, that genuinely made me jump back in my seat. He had a perfect lane, got a crack, was looking down lane. All of a sudden, there was just a head taking up half the screen. And somehow, and not somehow, strategically is how Hisoka lined up on the other roof of this kind of like turret X section of this like micro path even for themselves into the zone. And they're going to try to do the same here against Chronicle. If they can open up a pathway, this next rotation, look how long it will be much, much easier rather than having a team shooting your back.
I mean, it's very typical to what we have seen and for the opening that we need for Biffle and Co. But as we jump to another angle here, Sage just behind Biffle, and Noobs has found himself in the gulag. Now, granted, looking quite studious, a master of his craft, should be able to excel in this 1v1 against JTAC.
Look, I love, Tiff, that you just say exactly what I'm thinking every single time, because I was almost about to say the exact same thing. The glasses look good on him. He's looking like a student of the game, and will he show us what he could do? No, unfortunately does fall.
It's laid out.
Importantly, though, that is JTAC, which is teammates of Chronicle, who is fighting Sage on the other side. So likely JTAC's going to be able to fly back in if that encounter is not wrapped back up and provide some information to his team, at least to get out and run away from Team Sage. But popping over to one of our qualifier winners here, Rated, Mayapo, Autorize, Milk Bags back at it again. Love watching this trio play. They are an incredibly talented trio with some of the lightest and chillest comms across the board, even with a guy like Rated who can be a little bit fiery at times. A fun team to watch, and already 3 kills here for Rated, which means they've likely already grabbed at least 1 full team wipe on a contested drop spot.
Not a bad pacing, considering they're in 18th place with 15.7 points, so they're going to need to start changing and grabbing eliminations, get that 2x multiplier, drop a win. But for OP Marked, your winners of map number 2, the utility comes through, it connects. Not going to work for OP Marked, though, and Showstopper, on the other hand, still has plenty of shields to work with. Rope comes down, time is of the essence, and we're just trying to play on audio cues here, but OP marked.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, just not going to be able to get past Showstopper.
Shout out my boy Showstopper for the win there. I think one of the only, if not the only, Lebanese player competing today. Was able to compete in World Series of Warzone as well. Was traveling all over the world to make sure he could compete. Very fun watching him do so. But we're going to continue to swap over perspectives and check out some of these other teams. This is, you know, it's funny. I was going to talk about this at the top of the show and didn't get around to it, Tiff. It's talking kind of about like, hey, what about the teams that just barely made it? What about the teams that got 15th in their qualifier? And will they kind of change their luck and move the tides of chaos that was the last round? Because I talked to Flanked and they were basically like, we couldn't get anything going at all, right? Like we literally... There was no reason we qualify, and we just got lucky in the final moments to get enough points to barely sneak through. And this is what happened, right? They're here, they're made it here, and now they got a chance to prove that they're not going to get 29th or 30th, like, you know, on paper they should, according to the qualifying numbers. And they're going to need to get a move on. They're not doing horrible, but they need a lot more eliminations here going into this third map to make a chance to move up this leaderboard and make a ton of cash.
I mean, good shouts. Yeah, they got 15th by 1.1 points throughout day number 2, which was essentially the bloodbath that we kind of called it after the draft. And Flanked here, working the rooftop, just trying to find any kind of angle. Meanwhile, we lose out on Juju. So Kaylee and Flanked, the duo for this squad here at Urzikstan University. Not a long rotation needed for them, but it could be stifled just by this engagement here, because you don't want to rotate on top of them, and especially with teams looking from the other buildings, you're going to be caught off guard, similar to what we're experiencing. And you have to burn through that self-res, because Kaylee's not going to be able to hit that tap. She's not going to be able to come up there away from where she's playing. We're too far apart as a duo to be able to make this come through. Now, granted, Juju thankfully wins the gulag and will come back. Kaylee here in a big moment gets swung by 2, and she'll fall. That's going to be IQ Ryda squad on the other side. They're just ripping apart at any bit of the positioning here from Team Kaylee.
Yeah, this is such a fun conversation, too, because IQ is the other 15th place team from the other qualifier. That's what's wild. These are the two 15th place qualifier teams, the teams that barely made it here, fighting against each other into our third map, both fighting for their lives on the leaderboard, 27th and 30th overall. Need to win this one against Beam. Kaylee yet again gets the luck of the night vision, is gonna have to play around it. A little bit of hip fire, a little bit of question marks, but a little bit of a win. Fantastic win, and maybe a little bit of salt added onto the wound there from Kaylee as she goes flying back into the map.
Nah, do it. She earned it. Let me just tell you, if you're getting 2 night vision gulags, you got to feel a little confident. Plus, her tracking was pretty impeccable there in that 1v1. Knew what they needed to do, and now will be looking to rotate back in. But for IQ and Ryda and Von Bont, after that engagement with Team Kaylee, they've made it towards that next circle. And we're just looking for information. Well, that information comes through. Ryda gets picked. Good comms, though, on having self. IQ trying to suppress fire, shoot at the player, shooting at them, gets re-knocked. Now we have to go ahead and push the issue, try to save Ryda here. But knowing that there is potentially an angle. Good utilization of the smokes, but we only have 1 more.
Yeah, the problem is you burn all your smokes now. If you don't have a munitions box, you're going to have to rotate again. You're already on the edge of circle. The zone's going to pull, and you're going to continue to get held. So they're not out of the woods, not even by a long shot. There's like 7 miles of forest ahead of them. So they're going to try to run around rather than through the forest and make their way to a brand new POI completely out of here. And if they don't get picked up in the cross, they should be able to restabilize. They still have a long way to go, but fun conversation point there. I will say, as Linen, FIFA Kill, Inxian are in battle and supposedly winning, they do have a big game bounty on Skullface. I'm getting word our second place team, Team Noobs, has been fully eliminated, 29th place, 5 points in total. So we always talk about kind of the chamber of secrets, or the window of opportunity, the castle that you're trying to break into to win all of your prizes. Yeah, that door is wide open right now with second place fully eliminated going to the third map.
Pretty scary start there. But I mean, if you're going to do it, at least do it now and then find that consistency on the back half of our series. But for Kaylee, Juju, flanked all back up. Now, they're going to be doing a little bit of gatekeeping on their own, but you peek out for just a little bit too long. That is the issue of these customs lobbies. Talented teams everywhere. Gatekeeping, holding angles, playing the rooftops, looking for space. That is why we see so many smokes, in particular 4 rotations, navigating throughout the bottom. And they're doing just that. Good reposition here. I think playing from this is going to be a lot better. And you can see already dropping those smokes, which cool. You got restock on. Here's 2. I'll bide my time inside this building, and I'll get 2 before our next rotation.
What I love about this Warzone competition, too, is we were just spectating some incredible, classic, competitive Warzone, great plays across the board from the team in 30th right now and the team in 27th right now. That's the level of competition we are witnessing today. Again, I said it on the timeline. I think, and I might be flamed for this, but I think this is the best Warzone competition we have ever seen online from a skill discrepancy department because everybody had to make it to this section of the tournament. So very, very fun moment here to continue to witness in potential history. If you do agree with me, if you don't agree with me, fine, but it's still a great tournament and excited to see who's going to come out on top. FIFA Kill Squad had a lackluster performance in qualifiers, but are here and have a chance to kind of turn the tide of chaos back on their side.
I love Tides of Chaos, Gosh. I really do. It's my favorite thing. If we're going to get chaotic end games, those are my favorite. And then we jump to Flank's drone POV, which may not look that great, but I love when people use the drone to find information, get pings for teammates, and honestly, then you jump over to Unrational Dongy Scummin. These are the people you have to worry about on the rooftop, playing anchor for the squad. Scummin deep into the mix, and Unrational just throwing down damage, looking for as much as he can do to help Scummin.
Yeah, this is an interesting play. I know Unrational's a fantastic sniper, but usually the only people we've seen sniping in tournaments like this when one-shot snipers are banned, in particular the snipers, the weapons themselves. I saw some questions about this. The weapons themselves are banned. You can obviously down somebody with one bullet if they are lower health, but oftentimes it's only mouse and keyboard players, and well, apparently as we swap over to colors, we're pushing the equation, all controller players this time around, but it doesn't matter what input you're using, grenades, incessant grenades will totally wipe your entire team. Hopefully they have Gulag and can get back on their feet. They've had a decent tournament performance thus far. I believe they're inside top 10, if not top 5. And we'll kind of check back in with them here in a moment. Looks like we will show colors Gulag against Joewo. And they won map 6 TIFF of week 2 and kind of carried forward that momentum into today. But can they win this one? Yes, colors gets some weak and will be able to clean it up, no problem. Well done. Was a bit weaker than I thought he was, but still wins it nonetheless.
Honestly, solid there for colors, but for Uncivil Queen's team, got to figure out another way to get Joewo back into the mix of things, currently sitting in 7th place for that squad, and back on over to Lennon, FIFA Kill, and Engxion, and 2 eliminations thus far. Not a bad position here, but we've been playing a lot in City. We had 2 endings of grave similarity between map 1 and 2, and be curious to see where this one in particular is pulling. We're going straight back, because why would we have any other zones here today?
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. We are seeing a lot of the same this time around. In the past, we've seen kind of a variation of zones, just the nature of RNG. And speaking of RNG, Sage was not expecting full somehow still alive and now fully plated back up.
Well, you asked, and here
Players out there, they take down DJ Moss and they push forward. When things go awry, when you don't see what is to be expected, you don't predict the future, somehow, some way, they make their way to the end game and they find a ton of eliminations. Watch out for that trio after this map. You might see them at the top of the leaderboard.
top of the leaderboard, top of the building for Unrational with a sniper in his hand, and it's been quite interesting to see here. That ultimate high ground, allowing him to supply that necessary information for Scummin and Dongy, being those true fragging potentials. And back to Aydan. In dire straits, the young gun Adrian himself last up for the squad. The team wipe comes through, and now we seek for a regain. Can we stick through this? They're just shy of that zone. It should come through. We grab a gas mask. As long as we can stabilize here, I'll feel a heck of a lot better. But sitting on 6 eliminations after that team wipe and a jailbreak goes in this zone.
Yep. Was thinking the same thing. It's gonna be wild, because reminder to everybody out there, 16 teams alive, jailbreak happening means we will still, now 15 teams, we will still have 15 teams when the jailbreak finishes. The rest of these players are gonna have to fly out into the gas and splat. But if you are a ratting solo in one of these buildings, your teammates get to fly back in and start playing again without you having to do anything, which means several things. 1, they're gonna get a nice aerial view of where everybody else is, but 2, they can grab high ground positions or be shot out of the sky by people already there. There is a lot that's about to happen because of this jailbreak, so watch out. And I think some of the teams that got there early, Tiff, got to high ground early, are going to walk with 5, 6, 7 eliminations potentially in a matter of seconds.
especially if you're unrational on the roof. Just looking into it, waiting to see who tries to come flying back in. But for Z-Smith and Huskerrs, down Tommy, we went back in time a little bit so that Jailbreak will provide Tommy the opportunity to get back into the fray of things. We'll stay here for just a second to see how it affects their squads as we move on over. This should be post-Jailbreak.
That's right.
And we do not have Adrian, Aydan and Crinks, no resources, and a bit of distance to cover to get into that next circle.
Yeah, Z-Smith a little bit delayed, but notably they get Tommy back for free. And this is a must-win, or at least a must-get-good game for Team Tommy. They have been struggling through the course of this tournament, which is so unexpected for a team of that caliber. But look at this. Tiff, thanks for the shout-out in the last couple maps. Yet again, we find ourselves in another layer cake action. We got buildings all over the place. We got 15 teams, make it 14 teams in the 7th circle. What are we playing? LCQ's wildcard game? What is going on right now? Let's take a look at Swish. On high ground, had a great performance in the qualifiers, doing a lot of the same, taking high ground, not a lot of kills to their name necessarily, but they find a ton now. The problem is they don't have ultimate high, and unfortunately for them, ultimate high is in zone.
It's gonna be quite interesting. FIFA Kill, Len, and Engsion, they've been on the lower levels, and they'll do just that, going straight under the bridge, looking like trolls. Luckily, FIFA throws back down, catches the rotation, and yeah, Engsion on one needs to stay up here. FIFA goes down, Lennon goes down. Can they find some semblance of stabilization? Because the hole that FIFA has crawled in to try and get rezzed, it won't come through though, and they will fall from Ayapo, unrated squad, diving down to the rooftop. This is very similar to what we had witnessed, but you see that ultimate high ground there, Goj. Little eagles perched up there.
Look, this is the part of mitigating RNG. You just got to take it to the account. If you pick the right building at the right time and you get the right zone pull, maybe you're pulling the Enigma strats and you've not only predicted, but you've earned that knowledge. You've got a chance to win it all, or at the very least get a ton of eliminations. Now, this team on your screen, this is a massive moment for them. 15th in their qualifier, and going into this lobby, folks, they were in dead last. An opportunity to turn this tournament on its head and move up this leaderboard, move up into some of that major prize money. We'll see what they can do. All three alive on the outskirts of zone, and they got the zone pull they wanted. Look at this rotation. Everybody's going to be coming to them, but they've got to play together. They've elected to split shortly because they're trying to cover this inner portion of cover. Here come the comms. Grabs an elimination. That's Braxton down one, but they've lost one in the process.
Think about flanked is you jump back into the past, and just like that, eliminated. We jump forward just a little bit here.
And they can staircase. They can staircase. Careful.
Intex, believe. Emrius on the roof.
Yeah. Careful the staircase, Rias.
I like this, right? You're trying to be hyper aware. This was the squad that had ultimate high ground. Now, granted, when you make a play, you can stay up here at least for that next circle. But when that circle starts to collapse towards the end game, it'll be really tough to make happen. But for IQ, just moving on through, DJ Moss down and out. We grab the comms vest, and we've got to try and get out of here, but unfortunately dying to gas.
That was insane, Tiff. The fact that IQ was able to do that to DJ Moss, get top 5, dead last, turning the tournament on his head. Excited to see where they'll end up, but Ultimate High continues to reign supreme. Zone will close. The Ultimate High will have to jump off the top eventually, unless they have durable gas masks. They might be able to lurk up here for a while, and if they do, they're going to be able to just rain hellfire from above, through the smoke, live pings, just throw grenades, everything they have to try to knock some of these players. But there's multiple teams fighting for this position to swish them in an almost iconic exact replica of history in the exact same position. Down below, all three alive, they're in trouble, and they somehow pull it out. Swisham's team on top, 36 points in total. We jumped around delays, behind, into the past, into the future, but at the end of the day, Swisham's team wins it all here in the present. 36 points for that squad. Very, very well done.
I mean, it's impressive, right? You think back to where they were moving into map number 3. They were sitting in 23rd place with 12.7 points. You grab a 36-point win, you shoot straight up that leaderboard, and you know that is